I think we are naturally trying to set up as cool of a tapestry as we can with the tools for other filmmakers that come in and tell their stories. I think the TVA is a big part of that. Loki and Sylvie are obviously kind of central to anything that would be happening there now because so much of the story has flown through them.
Kevin, I think Loki season 2 is my favorite Disney Plus Marvel show. It picks up right where the first one leaves off, and it kept me engaged every step of the way. Crazy thing is, I didn't even go back and watch Loki season 1. I felt like I remembered it enough. However, when we kind of like explore what's going on in season 2, I almost felt like Obi's character where it was like coming to me like from the past, which is crazy. Now, Loki's gone through quite an evolution this season. Can you talk about Loki's evolution from season 1 to season 2? And would Thor even recognize him at this point now?
The way that you just phrased that is something that we talked a lot about amongst all of the filmmakers. And that is something that really excites me is eventually one day, if we're lucky enough and the sun shines on the two of them again, I don't think they would recognize each other. And I think actually, let me rephrase this because people will go, of course they would. I think they would not recognize the personalities of one another.
Yeah.
Also would be very at peace and accepting of one another in a very exciting way. Because there has been so much growth. Like, I think there will hopefully, and I can't say this too much without spoiling where this goes, but I think there is a great peace within both those characters where they are now in the MCU. And there's something that maybe that would allow them to be closer than they've ever been.
How did you want to differentiate Jonathan Majors' performance as Victor Timely from Kang and He Who Remains?
It started just in the concept of Victor. I think in what we were trying to do at the end of season 1 was to get everybody obviously terrified of war is coming. This is going to be scary. You see the scary character in Ant-Man. And just the idea that the sci-fi villain is not coming from the future, but maybe is this unassuming, slightly eccentric inventor from the past was fun. It allows us to go to exciting places, but really what was exciting about it from a character standpoint is he is kind of the perfect person to fuel the character conflict between Loki, Sylvie, and the TVA. Of you're saying something scary is coming, you're saying that you want everybody to have free will, but you're also swearing that you're going to kill the next variant of him to pop up. And it like creates almost a contradiction or a paradox of like, if you truly believe in free will, you've got to believe that man's words when he says like, I'm my own person, I can make my own choices, I'm not the man you think I am. And like, I think it was just for somebody like Jonathan, it just fuels what he does best, which is creating really deep and complex characters.
Absolutely. There's subtleties that he does with that performance as Victor Timely that are just so outstanding to make that character so unique. Now, I want to ask about the sacred timeline. Is the sacred timeline the same as our main MCU timeline?
You're going to ask a million people. They're going to say different things. The way that this has been conceived from season 1 to season 2, all of our filmmakers that have been on Loki will vouch for this. Everything you know and love about the Marvel Universe, everything that you've been watching up until the Loki series was on the sacred timeline.
Okay.
Is the way that I would say it.
Okay, perfect. Now, what was your favorite variation of Kang to pop up this season?
Victor Timely.
Victor Timely is great. I'm not going to lie. I can't take my eyes off the screen.
This season, he's the only one that we've seen. But here's the thing. Between the two, I can't pick. That's like choosing children. He Who Remains was so well done in season 1 and so exciting. And I thought those conversations were so thrilling. But we get to live with Victor longer this season. And I just think there's a lot we can understand that character more.
Miss Minutes is a different representation of AI in the MCU. This Miss Minutes is. Now, we've had Jarvis, we've had Ultron. This is more of a vindictive AI in Miss Minutes. What did you want to explore with that character this season? And can you talk about her connection with He Who Remains?
I think like all of our characters and their search for identity, but also that all of our characters being caught in a bit of a cyclical time loop, keep making the same mistakes. There's another interesting question about Miss Minutes that I think has been really fun to explore, which is the nature of, she says this season, something along the lines of like, he who remains gave her the ability to write her own programming, to create her own personality, to grow, to have wants, to have needs. I think that's exciting if that's true. Knowing what we know about He Who Remains, he doesn't give a lot of people a lot of choices up until his death. And I'd be interested to see how much of her programming is her own, how much of it is, how much of this is just further path that He Who Remains maybe paved for all of our characters to walk down for some bigger reasoning.
I love that. Now, what I love about this season, you're able to play with different genres and eras this season. What's been your favorite genre or era to drop Loki and Mobius into?
I mean, the obvious one is that Ep3 going to Chicago World's Fair. It's such a departure, and it isn't just a, like we've popped into fun places for sequences in various episodes that we get to live there for a full episode. It felt like we were almost making a different movie when we got to go shoot it. But they've all been really fun. And I think there's something fun about going to Broxton, Oklahoma. I think there's something fun about carving out this like quiet little life for Sylvie that's small and quaint. And it's just such a stark difference from the apocalypses that she's been growing up in.
Absolutely.
But they've all been fun. But I mean, that World Fair, getting to do that for a full episode is, for everybody, I think was really fun.
Ke Huy Quan, he's phenomenal. He's my, I think OB might be my favorite new MCU character. He steals every scene he's in. Talk to me about what fresh dynamic he brings to the show.
You've stolen my line, which has been, I've been saying, I think he's about to be everyone's favorite new MCU character.
You got it right.
No, the exciting thing was like, look, and I think it would be intimidating for a lot of actors to come in and try to find their footing in a dynamic that was already as strong as like what Tom and Owen had and what our whole ensemble had. There was a real like, just like great vibe that already existed. And Key and OB, I think, one, we just wanted to expand out the world of the TVA, dive deeper into the lore of like, you look around and it's like, who's keeping all of this running? Who, like, it's all this old tech? Like there's something very exciting about just learning more about that. The idea of this guy who's been locked in a basement for 400 years, just working away. He's a little bit eccentric, a little bit of an oddball. Was always in the script. And I think the great thing was when Key decided to join us, he really kind of like took ownership of this thing and put so much of himself into it. The way that Owen is like put himself into Mobius, and Tom has like famously put his heart and soul into Loki for the last like 12 years now. He just like found a way to make that his own and do his own thing with it in a way that's been awesome.
Yeah, it's incredible. He's such a great character. Now, the first season of Loki really sets up the multiverse saga with the explosion of the timelines. Can you talk about exploring those ramifications and how we will kind of continue to see those affect the movies and television shows in the future? And how closely does Loki season 2 kind of set up Deadpool, if at all?
What I would say is, coming into this, we knew setting up our rules out for time travel, how they would work in a season 1, took a lot of legwork, and it was all about making it as simple and fun as possible so that you could explore character drama. And then we decided to make it harder on ourselves and introduce a multiverse by the end of it. And likewise, it was always about trying to find a way to tell that story. And I think we try to do it simply through various explanations and our on-screen graphics of showing when we're on branches, when we're on sacred timeline, when we're going to various places. It was always about simplicity, and when we wanted intrigue, but never confusion and homework. And so it was always about making a simple through line that you could go, oh, okay, I think I get how this works for the TVA and our characters, so that we could tell high stakes character conflict, because a multiverse isn't exciting, or it would very quickly become unexciting if if it isn't grounded in the characters and what it means for them. And what, like, which is why we lean so heavily into our philosophy and theology of like what these characters are doing. And now, as far as what we're doing, I think we by the end of this season, we'll have had nearly 12 hours of Loki-centric multiversal storytelling. I think we are naturally trying to set up as cool of a tapestry as we can with the tools for other filmmakers that come in and tell their stories. I think the TVA is a big part of that. Loki and Sylvie are obviously kind of central to anything that would be happening there now because so much of the story has flown through them. But like Loki and how no one really came in and told us how we had to do it and where we had to leave it. I think we just try to give everybody the tools and the excitement to pick up the toys and run with it going down the road, and they will. And I think, but I won't. I don't want to spoil that for you.
Right. Well, look, this show is phenomenal, and it does such a great job of telling a clean story that's not like convoluted or confusing. That's what I love about this show. It was easy for me to follow. I obviously watched the first season, but it was enough where, like I said, I was just like Obi, where I was like, oh yeah, there's this and there's that. Phenomenal show, Kevin. Last question I do have for you. There's a cool Easter egg with Balder the Brave, which is a nod to the comics. He was rumored to appear in Multiverse of Madness. Is that the reason why he's included in here, or was that something you always wanted in there?
No. And had that happened in Multiverse of Madness, we probably wouldn't have done it. Like, I think so much of the fun of that joke anyway is it just feels like Balder has been erased from history a bit. And so getting to do that joke and then put him up there, and Loki is the one being erased from the history of this Norse mythology, Asgardian mythology, just felt like a fun flip. So in a way, them not being able to do it kind of cleared the ground for us to set up that little gag.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much for your time. The show is absolutely incredible. I got through 4 episodes and I cannot wait already for the 5th one. So amazing job. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I really appreciate the kind words, and thank you for your time too.